Today I'm going to show you how to make corned beef and cabbage, a traditional Irish recipe which is great to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Now around St. Patrick's Day you can typically find corned beef already made in your grocery store, and they usually come in about a 3 to 4 pound package. I would recommend using that. It's just so much simpler. You can make your corned beef from scratch from a raw brisket. That requires a few days of brining. We're not going to cover that today. We start with onions at the bottom of our Dutch oven. Open your corned beef brisket. In your corned beef, it's going to come with a little spice packet. Be sure to save that because it's going to go into our broth when we make this dish. Add water or stock up to 1 inch. Add the spice packet, bay leaves, and crushed garlic cloves. Cover and place in an oven at 300 degrees for 3 hours. While that cooks, cut your potatoes, your carrots, and some green cabbage into large wedges. Now when you're cutting your vegetables for this dish, you want to cut them into large pieces. And you want those pieces to be large because they're going to cook for a long time in that broth, so you want them to hold together. So I like to peel my onion back, cut the tip off, and then cut it into wedges. For my potatoes, I like to use red beet potatoes or another potato about this size and cut those typically in half or maybe into quarters. And then for my carrots, I'm going to peel these and then cut those on a bias into relatively large pieces about 1 inch. And then on your cabbage, you want to clean your cabbage, cut that into wedges about 6 per head. After 3 hours, your brisket will look something like this. Add potatoes and carrots to the liquid, cover, and cook for another 20 minutes. While this is cooking, heat some butter and saute your cabbage so you get some browning on the edges. Then add your cabbage and finish cooking for another 30 to 45 minutes until the cabbage is tender. Now this step isn't required, but I like to do it because browning the cabbage adds some flavor. That browning in the pan will release some of the starches from the vegetables and start to caramelize those into sugars and add more flavor to your dish. So this is a good step here, browning that cabbage in your saute pan. Your finished dish will look like this. Make sure that your corned beef is nice and tender. Slice the meat against the grain and serve on top of the vegetables with some ground mustard and some of the broth reserved on the side. Be sure that when you're slicing your brisket that you find where the grain runs in the meat. Now look for the fibers to go like this. That's the grain. You're going to cut against the grain. So if the fibers run this way, cut this way. And that will help keep your slices of beef together and make it more tender when you eat it. Now on the side, you traditionally would serve this with some of that broth left over in the pot. On the side with a ladle to spoon over the veggies and the beef. Some stone ground mustard to go on top as well to add a little kick. So that's how to make corned beef and cabbage. Full recipe is at lineageculinary.com. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Aaron Go Brock. I'm not even sure what Aaron Go Brock means. Hopefully it doesn't mean something terrible.
Oh, is that
like Die England.
thing?